Even though it's not an actual vehicle class in-game, we're gonna go over the best heavy vehicles to use in GTA Online. A lot of these are gonna be armored and there's a good chance they're gonna weigh a lot more than your typical car. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into it. Also, we're gonna exclude arena vehicles just because I want to save that for another video. But first up, we have the Phantom Wedge. This is the definition of a powerful vehicle. The ramming extension thing on the front of it is absolutely overpowered. It's a ton of fun to use as well. Let's say you're driving on the opposite side of the highway, you can easily ram cars out the way, and those normal sized cars are gonna feel super light compared to what you're driving. You're gonna ram them out the way like they're feathers. It's the perfect vehicle to make NPC cars go absolutely flying. Not even NPCs, just any players that are driving normal cars that probably don't weigh much. The Phantom Wedge can also ram some trucks out the way as well easily, so even when it comes to some bigger vehicles, it has no problem against some of them. The only type of vehicles that it would have trouble ramming is something that weighs like the dump truck, which is a ton. But definitely 95% if not 99% of the vehicles in game, it could definitely ram out the way no problem. It's surprisingly fast when it comes to top speed for how big the vehicle is. Now you'd think this truck is a 2-seater, but it's actually a 5-seater. You can have obviously 2 people sitting in the front and then 3 people in the back. I didn't even know this up until not too long ago. Some cons of the Phantom Wedge are 1, you can't customize it, so you can't even have bulletproof tires unfortunately, and 2, it takes just 1 missile to blow it up, which is not great. You just gotta hope no one's gonna track you down in this thing, because at the end of the day, if you're using this vehicle, you're probably using it to have fun. I can't imagine it would be too useful for PvP. If you don't have it yet and you want to get it for cheaper, you can unlock the trade price by playing the Phantom Wedge mission, which is in the special vehicle work inside of the CEO office computer. Next up is the Vigilante, aka the Batman car. If you're not too familiar with this vehicle, it might not seem or look super heavy, but trust me, this is a very heavy and powerful vehicle. I want to say it's in the top 5 heaviest vehicles in the game if I'm not mistaken. Like the Phantom Wedge, it's very good at ramming cars out the way. Don't get me wrong, it's not as good as the Phantom Wedge, but it's definitely really powerful, so it can also clear the road if you wanted to. The best and main thing we're going to focus on is how powerful it is. Once again, it's a very heavy vehicle as I said, but unlike the Phantom Wedge, it actually comes equipped with some rockets, which is really nice. Or I'm not sure if it comes with it by default, but you could definitely equip some rockets. And probably the most noticeable thing when you first take a look at it is the rocket boost on the back. It has a giant looking boost, and that boost is very strong. It's gonna help you out even more when trying to ram other cars. Everything about the Vigilante performance wise is solid. It's got good speed, especially with the rocket boost. I mean, you can't really have a slow vehicle if it has a rocket boost on it. It's nice to drive around, but you're definitely gonna notice it weighs a good amount. It's the opposite of the Scramjet when it comes to a rocket boost car. The Scramjet weighs nothing compared to the Vigilante. The big downside with this one is hands down the price. It costs a whopping $3.75 million, plus with all the upgrades it's probably going to be around $4 million. Next one is the Kanjali, which is basically a way better version of the Rhino tank. The Kanjali is a lot more mobile and easy to move around with than the Rhino tank, and it has a good amount of weapon options as well you can use on it. You can have up to 4 people including the driver, and every single person can use a weapon simultaneously, which is nice. It comes stock with a cannon and you can upgrade it to a railgun. I don't see much of a difference between the 2 of them. They're both like a regular tank cannon. I don't see anything too special. Besides that, you can also have someone using the machine gun on top. Also a remote grenade launcher on the back of the vehicle, which isn't too great honestly. While moving, it's really hard to aim with that grenade launcher. Plus the nades don't even go that far. It doesn't go anywhere near as far as the actual weapon grenade launcher that you hold. And finally, you can equip some proximity mines on it too. And going back to the mobility of it, it's pretty freaking fast for a tank, and the acceleration is really good as well. As soon as you press the gas button on it, it just feels like you're going at full speed right away, like it's not even slow at all. It can take around 6 or 7 explosive hits. It really depends if you're using an RPG or homing missiles. 6 or 7 hits is definitely not bad at all. I feel like this thing's worst nightmare, just like a lot of other vehicles, is the Oppressor Mark II. I feel like the Oppressor Mark II is superior to this, but we're talking about heavy land vehicles, and this is definitely one of the best in the game. Unfortunately, it does come at a steep price of $3.85 million, plus with all the upgrades, it's probably gonna be more than $4 million bucks. There's some solid customization to a vehicle like this, including liveries, and basically all the weapons we've mentioned that you can equip on it. Moving on to a bit of a more affordable option. It still might be expensive to some people, but we have the Night Shark, which has a price tag of $1,245,000. Definitely a lot better than the last two. Now the Night Shark isn't as big as most of the vehicles on this list, but I'd still consider it a heavy vehicle. It's got some armor on it. It could definitely ram cars out the way, no problem. Not counting the Vigilante, because that has a boost on it. This is definitely the fastest vehicle on this list. The boost on the Vigilante is kind of a no-brainer. That's kind of cheating. But in terms of a vehicle without a boost, this is definitely a pretty fast vehicle, and it's really easy to drive around. I'd say it's pretty comfortable. Like with the Kanjali, you can put some camo themed liveries, and you can color the armor plating on it too. It takes about 5 or 6 explosives before it blows up. Once again, that depends on the type of explosive, whether it's an RPG shot or a homing missile or a sticky bomb. That's pretty good armor and protection, I'd say, but I think it lacks a little bit when it comes to the weapons it has, as in the attacking options, because you really only have a light minigun on the front of it, and it's not very powerful compared to, let's say, the machine gun on top of the Kanjali. Next up is the Barrage. Like a lot of these, it's a very unique shaped vehicle. It's got 2 spots for weapons. It's got a machine gun on the front of it and a machine gun on the back of it. Now, on both of them, you can choose either between a machine gun or a minigun, whichever one, and on the back of it, you have another option, which is a grenade launcher, but personally, the grenade launchers on vehicles are just not that great, and they usually aren't as effective. So technically, you can have 2 miniguns or 2 machine guns and then 2 people using both of them at the same time. Something I really like about this vehicle is the customization of it. You can upgrade a ton of visual stuff that has to do with the bodywork, like the doors for example, and much more. Now, like most of the vehicles on this list, it's got good explosive protection. It takes about 5 or 6 explosive hits. The Barrage is decently fast and really easy to drive. The price tag is once again pretty steep, but not the worst compared to the other vehicles on the list. It comes in at 2.1 million, probably around 2.5 million after upgrades. Next up is the APC. This is a very cool looking vehicle. The price tag is once again really steep at about 3.1 or 3.2 million bucks. Before we get into the weapons, let's start with the fact that it's amphibious, which means it could go both on land and on water. So if you drive this thing into the ocean or into the lake, it's not gonna sink. It's gonna act kind of like a boat almost, you can say. It's like a submarine with wheels in more of a car form, I guess. That's a very cool and unique feature about the APC, gotta say. It comes stock with a cannon, which is decently powerful, but you have an amazing upgrade on it, which is the SAM battery. It's basically SAM missiles. Now, these aren't normal homing missiles or anything. These are missiles that you can absolutely spam like crazy. It's actually really sick and pretty overpowered how fast you can shoot each missile one after the other. There are some limitations to it because, I mean, Rockstar had to balance it somehow. It's got a limited supply of these missiles, which I think is 50 of them, which is a decent amount, I guess, unless you recklessly shoot them all at once and don't really hit anything. And they don't lock on either, which is understandable because, I mean, if you can spam these missiles and they're homing missiles, like you can lock onto things, that would just be stupid OP and everybody would use it. It's got decent customization, including 21 different livery options, which is a ton. It's got great speed for how big it is and some okay handling, not bad. The big weapon on top isn't the only weapon option though. You can also have a machine gun on the back, which you're limited to only aim backwards with it, and there could be mines equipped on it too. It can take about 6 explosive hits, which is also pretty good, and it's overall a great vehicle, and I do recommend it if you have the money. For some honorable mentions, we have the Insurgent Pickup Custom, the Menacer, and finally the best vehicle out of all of these, the Dump Truck. Nah, I'm joking about that one. If you want to see the best vehicles to counter the Oppressor Mark II with, click the video on screen now. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.